Begin with a wide shot of a magnificent, opulent castle. Zoom into a lavish throne room. Lord Kale, young, handsome, but with a restless, almost tormented expression, sits on the throne. Servants move nervously. Lord Kale ruled the sprawling lands of Eldoria. His word was law, his coffers overflowed with gold, and his armies were undefeated. Yet Kale was not free. He was a prisoner in his own kingdom, bound by chains far stronger than any forged iron, the chains of his own desires. Kale throws a goblet of wine in a fit of pique. A servant scurries away, show him pacing, unable to sleep, his eyes darting. Every slight stirred a storm within him, every temptation a relentless pull. He overindulged in feasts, chasing fleeting pleasures that left him emptier than before. His temper flared like a wildfire, consuming all peace in its path. He ruled the kingdom, but his emotions ruled him. His people feared him, but deep down, Kale feared himself most of all. He knew instinctively that true power lay beyond his grasp, hidden somewhere he could not reach. A stark contrast, a serene, ancient forest, a small, simple hut, smoke curling from its chimney. An old man, Alien, the sage from your image, with a long white beard, tranquil eyes, is tending a small garden. Rumors like whispers in the wind began to reach Lord Kale's ears. Tales of an old hermit, Master Alien, who lived in the secluded whispering woods. It was said Alien possessed no gold, no army, no titles, yet he was considered by those who knew him to be the freest and most powerful man in all the lands. Kale rides through the forest with a small retinue, looking determined yet skeptical. He dismounts, approaches Alien's hut. Alien looks up, his gaze calm. Intrigued and perhaps desperate, Kale journeyed to the hermit's dwelling. He expected a mystic, a sorcerer, someone who could magically grant him peace. Instead, he found an old man, serene, tending his meager patch of herbs. "Are you the legendary Alien who possesses power beyond kings?" "I possess only what I am, Lord Kale, and what I am is free." "Free? I command armies. I possess all, yet I am tormented. Tell me, old man, what is this power you speak of?" "It is the power to say no to yourself, Lord Kale. The power to choose your response rather than be driven by impulse. And true power, my lord, begins where all others end, within. Stay if you are truly brave enough to face your real kingdom." Kale sits opposite Alien in the humble hut. Referencing your provided image, the setting is sparse, calm. Lord Kale, against his better judgment, stayed. For 3 days, Alien presented him not with grand rituals, but with simple, profound challenges. Challenges Kale called mirrors, for they reflected his own weaknesses back to him. The fast. Kale tries to eat, but Alien gently stops him. Kale struggles, sweats, becomes irritable. Alien just watches. Kale finally manages to go without food for a day, collapsing in exhaustion, but with a flicker of pride. The first mirror. The fast. Alien bid Kale to refrain from food and drink for a full day. Kale, accustomed to endless banquets, found himself a slave to hunger and thirst. His stomach growled, his mind screamed for indulgence. He discovered how little control he had even of his most basic bodily needs. Yet as the day ended, a strange sense of accomplishment, a quiet triumph bloomed within him. The stillness. Kale tries to meditate, fidgets, opens his eyes, sighs. Alien remains perfectly still. A close-up of Kale's frustrated face. The second mirror. The stillness. Alien instructed Kale to sit in silence without moving for an hour. Kale, whose mind was a whirlwind of anxieties and plans, found this torture. His legs ached, his mind raced, urging him to stand, to speak, to do something. He discovered the chaotic, unruly nature of his own thoughts. Alien, meanwhile, sat like a statue, his breathing even, his eyes closed in serene contemplation. The insult. A peasant, instructed by Alien, verbally insulted Kale's lineage and rulership. Kale's face turned red, his hand goes to his sword hilt. Alien raises a hand gently.
Kale clenches his jaw, trembles, but does not react. The third mirror, the insult. Alien arranged for a common villager to publicly insult Kale, questioning his honor, his courage, his very right to rule. Kale's blood boiled. His instinct was to draw steel, to punish, to obliterate the insolent wretch. But Alien's calm gaze held him. He struggled, a visible battle playing out on his face. His muscles tensed, his jaw tightened, but he remained silent. The peasant departed, and Kale stood, trembling, but not broken by his own rage. He had faced his fiercest enemy, himself, and not yielded. The scene returns to the calm discussion between Kale and Alien, the primary image, soft light, thoughtful expressions. After these trials, a new understanding dawned on Lord Kale. The man who had once scoffed at Alien's definition of power now understood its profound truth. Master Alien, I feel lighter yet stronger. My kingdom remains, but the chains I wore, they feel looser. What is this sensation? It is the awakening, Lord Kale. You have begun to recognize the gulf. The gulf? Yes, between what happens to you and how you choose to respond. Most men live in the gulf, tossed about by every wind of circumstance, every surge of emotion. They believe they are their feelings, their impulses. But the wise man stands at the edge of the gulf. He observes the wind. He feels the surge, but he does not leap in. He chooses his path. Abstract visual. A person standing on a cliff edge, looking down at a turbulent sea. Alien explained that self-control wasn't about suppressing feelings, but about mastering the reaction to them. It was about creating space, a sacred space between the external world and one's internal world. Anger will come, Kale. Desire will tempt. Fear will whisper. These are tides of the human condition, but you are not the tide. You are the shore. Will you allow the tide to erode you, or will you stand firm, letting it merely wash over you without carrying you away? Kale looks contemplative. Close-up on Kale's face as he slowly nods, a look of profound understanding. Kale realized his power over his kingdom was fleeting. His true, lasting power would only come from the dominion he established over himself. He began to see his thoughts not as commands, but as suggestions. His emotions not as masters, but as messengers. Kale returns to his castle. This time, his posture is different, calm, composed. He sits on the throne, but his expression is serene, not restless. He listens patiently to advisors. Lord Kale returned to Eldoria, but he was no longer the same king. The fiery temper that once scorched his court was replaced by a quiet strength. When challenges arose, he paused, took a breath, and considered his response, rather than reacting in haste. Kale mediating a dispute between two squabbling nobles, his gaze firm but fair. He makes a wise decision. His people, once fearful, now looked upon him with a new respect, even admiration. They saw not a tyrant, but a just and steady leader. The kingdom flourished not through fear or brute force, but through the calm, considered wisdom of its ruler. Kale still held his crown, but the true kingdom he now governed was the one within. Kale looking out from a castle window, a peaceful, confident expression. He learned that freedom was not the absence of external constraints, but the presence of internal discipline. True power was not the ability to control others, but the unyielding strength to control oneself. Returns to the image of Kale and Alien may be slowly fading. The tale of Lord Kale and Master Alien echoes through the ages, a timeless reminder that the greatest battles are fought in the quiet chambers of the mind. The valuable treasures are not found in vaults, but forged in the crucible of self-mastery. Self-control is real power. For in learning to govern ourselves, we unlock a power that no external force can grant and none can ever take away. The chains we perceive are often of our own making, and freedom, true freedom, begins when we choose to unlock them. Final screen with a thought-provoking quote: "No man is free who is not master of himself."